me when to start. Right now? Oh. In John 6:61, Jesus asked this incredible question, and I want to ask it to you today. Here's the question: does this offend you? Wow, what a question. Does what offend you? You see, because in John chapter 6, Jesus makes a claim about himself. He says more than once, I'm the bread of life. I'm the true bread from heaven. And that offended the Pharisees. In verse 41, Jesus says, I am the bread which came down from heaven. But it says right before they complained about this, they were grumpy. Why were they grumpy? Because he's saying, you need me. I'm the source of life. Without me, you can't do it. Guess what? He's not a bread on the grocery shelf among all the other deities. He is the true bread from heaven. That's offensive when you want Jesus to be an option. He's not an option. He's the only way. In John 14:6, he says, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father but by me. And the Pharisees didn't like it. And people who think they know nowadays, modern day Pharisees, don't like it. Listen, he's the bread. He gives life. In the Bible times, they ate bread at every meal. Why did he use that example? Because you can't live without Jesus. You're hungry, you're thirsty in your soul, and he is the bread that satisfies the soul. Receive him. Then he says in verse 54, if you don't eat my flesh and drink my blood, and that was over the top for them. In fact, later in chapter 6, it says some stopped following him. Because you see, you have to receive that he died for you. He gave his life for you. Eat his flesh, drink his blood, receive that free gift. And here's the last thing I want to leave with you. In verse 35, I am the bread of life. He who comes to me shall never hunger, and he who believes in me shall never thirst. Man, if you're hungry and thirsty, I beg you, don't be offended by Jesus' own claims about who he is. Receive him and give him a try. Let him nourish your soul. Let him give meaning to your life, and you will have eternal life. You'll go to heaven when you receive this free gift. Bless you. Bye. Can you see the door? Should it be shut? The door? I would guess so, hey? Oh, and you have a sweater on too. But that you can't wear that to the bubble tea. It doesn't look good. In verse 41, okay, one more time. In verse 41, Jesus says, I am the bread which came down from heaven. Did you get some of the silly bloopers?